You would not believe the day I had at Milford Sound. We set off from Queenstown in this super comfy glass roof coach, and honestly, the drive alone felt like a whole trip. We followed Lake Wakatipu for ages, then crossed all this wide open farmland until we reached Lake Te Anau, which is massive, by the way. We stopped for a short break and then carried on into Fiordland National Park. That's when things really started to feel wild. We drove into the Eglinton Valley, which looks like something out of a movie. Huge glacier-carved walls, ancient forest, waterfalls everywhere. Because the roof was glass, you could look straight up at the mountains. Mirror Lakes was unreal. The reflections were so perfect. And Nobbs Flat had these big open views shaped by old glaciers. Then we crossed the main divide of the Southern Alps, and the mountains just kept getting bigger. We stopped at Monkey Creek, where you can drink the water straight from the stream, apparently some of the purest in the world. And there were Kia hanging around, being their usual cheeky selves. After that, we went through the Homer Tunnel, which is literally carved through solid rock, and then descended through lush forest, until suddenly we saw Milford Sound. Milford Sound isn't even a sound, it's a fjord, carved out by glaciers tens of thousands of years ago. When you see those sheer rock walls rising straight out of the water, you can totally imagine the ice grinding its way through. Milford Sound is actually a fjord formed by glaciers, but it was named a sound by early European settlers who aimed to honour Welsh geography. Welsh sealer John Grono named it Milford Haven in 1812 after his home in Wales, and the name was later changed to Sound by travellers like John Stokes, even though it was carved by ice, not a river valley. So what is the difference between a sound and a fjord? They may look similar at first glance, but they're formed in completely different ways, and that's the key difference. A fjord is carved by glaciers. A sound is usually formed by the flooding of a river valley or a wider sea inlet. Fjords are typically deep and narrow, U-shaped, surrounded by very steep mountains, formed by glacial erosion.
You wouldn't believe what it was like when our boat reached the mouth of Milford Sound and headed out toward the Tasman Sea. Inside the fjord, everything was calm and peaceful, but the moment we got close to the open ocean, the whole mood changed. The swells started rolling in, and suddenly the boat was bouncing over the waves. Everyone grabbed the railings and laughed as we rocked from side to side. It was wild, but in a fun way. The Tasman Sea itself has an amazing story. It's named after Abel Tasman, the Dutch explorer who first sailed into these waters in 1642. He was the first European known to reach New Zealand, and the sea he crossed was later given his name. Standing there on the deck, feeling the wind and the spray, you can almost imagine what it must have been like for him, facing this huge, unpredictable stretch of ocean with nothing but a wooden ship.
Driving back from Milford Sound to Queenstown felt like the perfect, quiet ending to a huge day. I sank into my seat on the glass roof coach, feeling that warm, heavy tiredness you get after hours of exploring. As we followed the edge of Lake Wakatipu, the views kept opening up beside us. Long stretches of deep blue water, mountains fading into soft evening colours, and little pockets of light catching the surface of the lake. Even though I was exhausted, I couldn't stop looking out the window. The glass roof made everything feel bigger, like the sky and the mountains were leaning right over us. The 2-hour journey slipped by in this calm, peaceful way, people dozing, the lake drifting past, and Queenstown slowly getting closer. It was one of those rides where you don't talk much. You just sit back, admire the scenery, and let the day settle in.